Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Focus 1 to 3 webinar. Um, you may or may not have had a webinar with me before. My name is Sean. I come from Ireland. I am 21 years old and I work in Milan in the Maies school on Via Meravigli. So in the comments, I have introduced myself. My name is Sean. I come from Ireland. I am Irish. I am 21 years old. I work in Milan in the Maies school on Via Meravigli. And anyone who is watching at any point, please introduce yourself. Tell me, what is your name? Where do you come from? How old are you? What's your job? Where do you work? What do you do in life? Okay? So please, if you're watching, interact. It's just me in the webinar tonight, so it would be great if we could get some conversation through the comments, because I think you learn much more when you interact than when you just watch. It's my experience, especially with learning a language like English. So, today's focus is opposites. Opposites. Things that are completely different, totally different on one end and the other. Opposites. So, in this focus activity, it is, it isn't, and adjectives. So we're talking about just in general the things that there are and things that there aren't, the situation. So describing something, these forms, it is, it isn't, it is positive, it isn't negative, and then adjectives, which are words that describe something, the qualities of something. And the term opposites is very significant when we talk about adjectives, because every describing word has an opposite. So you have a positive and a negative equivalent. They are connected in that they express the opposite ideas. And it's a very good way to understand the meaning of an adjective, to look at its opposite, to look at the other end of the situation. Okay? So, I will get started, but please, can anyone watching introduce yourselves in the comments as I've said, and throughout the webinar there will be questions to answer, there will be activities to complete. I would like you in the comments to give me the answers, okay? So, let's get going. Match the words to the pictures. So, we have adjectives here, which I was just speaking about. So, tall, short, beautiful, ugly. So I will go again for the pronunciation. And when I pronounce, at home, can you try and pronounce after me? Try and make the same sounds as I'm saying them. Okay? Tall, short, beautiful, ugly. Okay, so we have some pictures, and you have to match the adjectives to the picture. So in which picture is represented something tall? In which picture is there something short? In which picture is there something beautiful? In which picture is there something ugly? I'll give you a moment to communicate to me in the comments which picture corresponds with which adjective, with which word. Maybe to help you, the meanings of the adjectives, I will make some sentences using them. Okay? So tall. I am tall. I am 1 meter 85 centimeters in height. I am tall. My friend is short. She is 1 meter and 50 centimeters. She is short. Beautiful. So, the weather is beautiful today. It was a very sunny, warm, pleasant day. The weather was beautiful. Ugly? The industrial area of the city is very ugly. There is a lot of pollution, lots of factories. It's very grey. It's not very beautiful. The historic center is more beautiful. Okay? So we don't have any comments coming through, even though we have some people watching. Don't be very concerned about being correct. Write in anyway, even if you're not sure, and I will interact with you if you send a comment. But I will match the words to the pictures. So, the first picture is beautiful. So we have here a sunset on the beach. So when the sun goes down in the evening. So you have sunset and sunrise. Sunrise, and the sun comes up in the morning. So this is a sunset, and you also have sunrise at about 5 or 6 in the morning. And the sunset and the sunrise are very beautiful because the sky changes colors. We can see here that the sky is yellow and blue and purple and orange. And the sunrise and the sunset are especially beautiful on the beach because you can see the reflection in the water. It's very spectacular. Anyone who lives on the beach is very lucky to see this. Then we have the second picture, and I'm not sure how well you can see this picture, but they are saying that this is an ugly picture. Because, like in the sentence example I gave, this is an industrial landscape. So you definitely cannot see, but in the background of the picture, I'll try and make the picture, no, never mind. At the very back of the picture, there are some factories and there is smoke coming out from the factory, pollution and smoke, which is, I think, making the air very grey. It's made the sky very grey. It's made the grass very. The grass is brown. It's orange. It's not healthy grass. The river is. The water is very dark. It's very polluted. It's an ugly scene. It's an unhappy picture. It's an ugly scene, and ugly is the opposite of beautiful. Something cannot be beautiful and ugly. That is a contradiction. It is beautiful or ugly. They are opposites. Then we have palm trees and a bonsai tree. So these palm trees are very tall, and this bonsai tree, as all bonsai trees, is very short. So, as I said earlier, I am tall. We use tall and short very often for people because I am a tall person. I am 1 meter 80 in height, about, and then other people may be short. They may be 1 meter 50, 1 meter 60. It depends. And it's also the case for these trees. These palm trees are taller than this short bonsai tree. They're different, they are opposites. If a person is not tall or short, you can say average height. Normal height, not tall or short. Average height. So you are either tall, short, or average height. If you say tall or short, you don't need height. But if you say average, you need to say average height. Because tall and short is always talking about your height, whereas average could be many things. You could be average height, average intelligence, average size. It depends. There's many things you could be average, so you have to say average height. Okay, I'll move along. So now we need to match these words to the pictures. So we have big, small, fat, and thin. So again, I will repeat, and anyone watching, please repeat after me to practice the pronunciation. Big, small, fat, thin. The vowel sounds are always quite difficult in English, especially the sound in thin, I think, which is I. Thin, not thin, thin, I. Thin. Practice that one, I would say. So I'll give you a moment in case anyone watching wants to try and match the words to the pictures. And again, I will make some sample sentences, okay? While you do that. So, big. So, Milan is a big city, very big city. And let me think. Novara is a small city. Milan is a big city. Novara, Cremona, Brescia, Rimini, Ferrara, Reggio Emilia. These are lots of cities that I can think of as examples in Italy, are small cities. Rome is also a big city. So they're big and small cities. Babies are very small people, and adults are big people. Okay, so it's big and small. Elephants are big animals. Mice are small animals. Then we have fat and thin. So, let me think. That man weighs 100 kilos. He is fat. That other man weighs 50 kilos. He is thin. So, talking about your weight and what you weigh. This is what you weigh in grams and kilograms. So it's related to your size, but we talk about your weight. So it's not about how tall or short you are. It's different. It's about your weight, what you weigh, your size. Okay. So we don't have comments coming through yet. So I will match up the pictures. This girl here, she's very thin. You can see that her trousers are too big for her. She's very thin. So, you might have noticed I'm using very thin and too big. These are two different ways of putting emphasis on an adjective, on a describing word. So, very is just very much so, emphasizing something just in a general way. So if someone is very thin, they're very thin. It's not necessarily negative. It could be positive, it could be negative. It's just emphasizing that they are extremely this quality. If you have too big, if you have too before an adjective, it is negative. They are this way to an extent that is not positive. So if you are too fat, if you are too thin, it is better to be not so fat, not so thin. If the trousers are too big, they don't fit. They should be smaller. They're too big. It's a difference of when you use it. If I say they're very big, it's true, but it's not specific about whether they are right for her, whether they, just in general, they're very big, but no, for her, they are too big. So I hope you understand that difference. If you don't, feel free to write in a comment. The second picture is the opposite. This is fat. This person is fat. Fat and thin. Yes? Unfortunately, people are often very sensitive about whether they are fat or thin. So when you are describing people, try and be sensitive, be subtle about calling. You don't really say she is fat, he is fat. It's considered a bit rude. So we very often describe people as thin, but if they are not thin, we don't really comment on it. This is a recommendation from me. And then we have two animals. We have a lion, name for this animal, and a kitten, which is a baby cat. Okay. And what do you think? Which is big and which is small? This is a big cat and this is a small cat. Because lions and kittens are both kinds of cat. They're both feline. One is big and one is small. This is the difference. Yes, they're opposites, but they're part of the same family. Okay, moving along. Positive and negative. So, we had matching the pictures and talking about the adjective. Now we're going to make questions to ask if something is small, is big, is tall, is short, is beautiful, is ugly. To make these questions, it's very simple. Is it small? It, third person singular, for objects or for animals. We use it for animals in English. Is it small? For people, is she small? Is he small? Second person, are you small? So, as is very common when you form questions in English, you have to swap the subject and the verb. So, in the positive response, let me get it up. It is small. You have it first, subject, verb, object. It is small. When you ask the question, verb, subject, object. For questions with to be, this is what you have to do. Is it small? And the response, yes, it is. So you respond positively. For negative response, is it small? No, it isn't. The lion isn't small. So this is a contraction, which is really in spoken English, we use contractions all the time. So we would not say it is not. We would say it isn't. So it is and it isn't. Positive and negative response. And the question, is it small? And then if you want to really clarify, when you say, no, it's big, no, it isn't, you can follow that by the positive statement. it's big. Because if it's big, it is not small. Opposites mean that it's completely different. It's impossible for it to be big and small. It's impossible. Okay? So, is it? Is it? Yes, it is. No, it isn't. It's. So, we had all of these pictures before. So let's ask questions about them. Let's imagine we're asking questions about these people. So, for her, the first picture, is she thin? She's a person. So we say, is she thin? Yes, she is. Instead of it, we have she, but the form is the same. It's also third person feminine, third person female. Yes, she is. This person, I don't know if it's a man or a woman actually. Let's imagine that it's a man. So, is he thin? No, he isn't. He's fat. So the contraction of it is here. It is big, it is small. And for he is becomes he's. So she's, it's, he's. So is he thin? No, he isn't. He's fat. The lion. Is it big? Yes, it is. The kitten. Is it big? No, it isn't. It's small. These two landscapes. The sunset. Is it beautiful? Yes, it is. It's very beautiful. The landscape with the factories, pollution. Is it beautiful? No, it isn't. It's ugly. The palm trees. Are they? Okay. Are they tall? So this is third person plural because there is more than one tree. There's more than one palm tree. So the question is, are they? So third person plural, they are the question. You swap, are they? Are they tall? The response, yes, they are. The bonsai tree, is it tall? No, it isn't. It's short. All right. So we do have some viewers. Please feel free to ask questions or comments, or just say hi, say what your name is, where you come from. Okay? So, tall or short? Is it tall? Do you know what this animal is? With the spots and the very long neck. It's a giraffe. Is it tall? Is the giraffe tall? I think so. Giraffes are very famous for being tall. And then underneath, we have a very different kind of animal. Penguin. Is it tall? No, it isn't. It's short. Here. Is it short? What's this? This is a horse. Is the horse short? No, it isn't. It's tall. Is it short? Is this dog short? Is this chihuahua short? Yes, it is. It's very short. It's very small. Big or small? So we were looking at tall and short. How about these animals? Are they big or small? So the difference between tall and short and big or small is there's a bit of overlap sometimes. Often animals that are short are also small, and often animals that are tall are also big. But it depends because big or small is about width, and tall or short is about height. So sometimes if you have a very thin person or animal, they are tall, but they're not big. And the same goes for if you're small, you could be small and fat. There's no contradiction there. There's only a contradiction between big or small and tall and short, not between big and thin or small and fat. So, what do we have here? We have an elephant. And elephant begins with a vowel, so we use an elephant. And what's the question? We've had it before. Is it big? Yes, it is. What about this? I think it's a mouse. Is it big? No, it isn't. It's small. Again, we have a penguin. Is it small? Yes, it is. What about the giraffe? Is the giraffe small? No, it isn't. It's big. It's a big animal. Okay? So lots of repetition, a very basic form, but it's a very important form to use correctly. And the third person is something that's always a bit tricky for people, even with to be sometimes. So it's a good one to repeat, a good one to practice. And if you're watching at home at the moment, or if you will be watching back in the future, please, repeat after me. Practice the pronunciation, practice the forms. It's difficult in this moment to always do that when we are separated, but these webinars are designed for you to practice. So really engage, okay? Fat or thin? So we have a cat and a dog. Is it fat? I think unfortunately this poor cat is fat. I would say this is very fat. Yes, it is. It's a fat cat. Is it fat? No, it isn't. It's thin. It's a thin dog. So what we have here that is new and is important is when you're forming a full sentence. You're not just answering a question. It is a fat cat. You put the adjective before the noun. The adjective always goes before the noun. Describing word in English is before the noun that it describes. It's a fat cat. It's a thin dog. beautiful or ugly? So we have two very different pictures here. This first picture, what is this? A flower, more specifically, a rose. And what color is it? Color is it? What color is the rose? So colors are adjectives. We put them before the noun. It's the same rules. You can talk about something being very white, very black, very pink, very blue. Too pink, too blue. A blue giraffe, a red elephant. This is exactly what you do. You put the color in front of the noun. You can use too, you can use very. What color is the rose? It's kind of pink and orange, I would say. Pink and orange rose. And what is it, really, when you look at this? Is it beautiful? Yes, it is. So if you were just making a sentence, it's what is it? It's a beautiful flower. It's a beautiful rose. Now, the second picture is very different. It's a fish. I'm not sure what kind of fish this is. It's very unusual. It's a brown fish. That's the color. But is it beautiful? The million-dollar question, is it beautiful? I don't think the answer is very difficult. No, it isn't. It's ugly. It is ugly. It's ugly. It's an ugly fish. I would say it's a very ugly fish. It's an ugly brown fish. It's a bit complicated when you want to use more than one adjective, because in English, the order of the adjectives is important. So, it's a beautiful pink flower, it's an ugly brown fish. Beautiful and ugly would come before the color. It's a pink, beautiful flower is incorrect. There's a specific order that we put adjectives in before a noun depending on what they describe. Do they describe the color, the texture, the quality of an object? It's difficult and it's certainly above this level, so I won't dwell on it too much. Just thought it was worth mentioning briefly. So, on we go. So we're going to do a little bit of phonetics now. So we have two sounds, two vowel sounds. We have I and O. O. I and O. So two sounds associated with the letter I and the letter O. So we have a few people watching. I'm going to read through these words and you match them to the sound. Okay? So half of the words go under I and half of the words go under O. Okay? So I'm going to read through them As I read them, repeat after me, put them in the correct category. So, thin, not. Hot. Fish. Hot. Pig. Big. Stop. Beautiful. Dog. Giraffe. So, we had thin before. Not is a form to make something negative. Hot, what does hot mean? It's the opposite of hot. The opposite of hot is cold. So when you're cold, you go like this, and when you're hot, you sweat. There's too much heat. The temperature is too high or hot. It is hot. Fish, we had a pot. Pot you use to cook, put it on the stove. It's a kind of container. Pot to cook something. Pig is an animal. We don't have a picture, but I'm sure you know a pig. From a pig, you get sausages, you get ham, you get pork from pigs. Big, we had. Stop is to. The opposite of stop is go. Stop, don't do it. Stop yourself. No, don't go. Beautiful, we had a dog and a giraffe. Okay. So I'll just put them in under the categories. If you're writing it at home, please continue. I will correct you, even if they come after. I know there's a delay with the comments. So thin is an I. Thin, I. Not, oh, not. Yeah? Hot, not hot. So a good way of remembering these is remembering what rhymes, what has the same sound. Not hot. It's the same sound. Fish. It doesn't rhyme, but it's the same kind of vowel sound. Hot, off, pig, I, big, I, stop, off, beautiful, I, dog, off, giraffe, I. Okay? So, opposites. We've discussed this very, very many times at this point, but the secret to retaining information is always to repeat. So, again, tall, the opposite, short, big, the opposite, small, beautiful, the opposite, ugly, fat, the opposite, thin. What about this picture? Use two adjectives to describe the picture. What is it? It's a bird. A bird. It's a, I'm going to say, a small bird. What else is it? What color is it? It's a small blue bird. It's a small blue bird. What about this? What's this? It's a dog. How could we describe this dog? Let's see. Is it tall? No. It's not short, it's not tall. It's a medium-sized dog, an average-sized dog. Again, is it big? No. Is it small? No. So I think we'll leave those. I think it's a beautiful dog. It's a lovely dog. It's a beagle, I think, which is a very, very attractive, very beautiful dog. It's a beautiful and intelligent dog. I'm going to say it's a beautiful, intelligent dog. Eagles are very intelligent dogs. They're very good at hunting and finding things. So intelligence about your knowledge, about your capacity to do things. It's a bee. So we're looking at opposites, of course, but we're getting a lot of vocabulary for animals and things like that. So it's good practice, good revision, this kind of thing. So it's a bee. What is it? It's a small bee, I think. These are all very small. And it's a small, what color are bees? Black and yellow bee. It's a small black and yellow bee. Again, we have our cat. It's I think, a fat cat. I think that is the inescapable quality of the picture. But I'm going to say it's a funny fat cat. Funny because this picture makes me laugh. I find this picture very funny to see this fat cat. Funny, it makes you laugh. It makes you go, haha. It makes you laugh. It's a funny fat cat. Our giraffe, how will we describe our giraffe? Giraffe? What kind of giraffe? Let's look at the colors. It's a brown and yellow giraffe. It's a tall brown and yellow giraffe. Tall brown and yellow giraffe. We have our elephant. It's a color gray. It's a big gray elephant. And always the color is beside the noun. It's closer to the noun than big or small or tall or fat. Color after size. Okay? We have another kind of dog. This is not a beagle, it's a chihuahua. It's a very small dog. I'm going to say a very small dog. It's a very small dog. It's a very small black dog. So very small. I'm putting the emphasis on how small it is. So we just have a few seconds left. I will go quickly through all of the opposites we saw today. So we had beautiful, ugly, tall, short, thin, fat, big, small. These were the major ones we saw, and we looked at making questions and positive and negative responses. It is small. Is it small? Yes, it is. Is it small? No, it isn't. It's big. Yes. And we had all of these. We had our pronunciation, and we were looking at different animal words, different colors. Okay, so this was quite a simple lesson in many ways, but sometimes the simple things are the most important. And once you have gotten these perfectly, you can begin to improve everything else and gain more and more vocabulary. I hope the few of you that were watching me do this enjoyed it. I hope those of you who are watching later enjoy it as well. I have made lots of comments myself in the chat to explain, um, to write down everything I'm saying, all the vocabulary and forms. Okay, so anyone who's watching, have a great evening. It's bye from me. I hope you enjoyed the webinars, and keep watching every day, every hour. There is a webinar, so tune in to one or two while we have all of this time. So bye bye. Have a great evening.